Hi everyone, my name is Erin Barnhart. Welcome to Volunteer Mobilization. I will be your course facilitator. I'm looking forward to working with you and getting to know each of you in the course over the next several weeks. A little bit about myself. I have been teaching the Volunteer Mobilization as well as the Resource Development course for a few years now. I'm an AmeriCorps alum myself, and I'm also the Service Corps program developer with an organization in Oregon called NeighborWorks Umpqua. I work with many different nonprofit and public organizations as well, doing trainings and teaching around volunteer management and engagement. I also teach an graduate course at the University of Oregon on volunteer engagement, so I have a real passion for this topic. A little bit about this course. As you read in the course materials, this is an introductory class. It's designed to be substantial and worthy of college credit, but also to be manageable for you and rewarding, with practical lessons you can apply immediately at your site. I do want you to feel free to contact me at any time with any questions you might have. The best way to do this is to send me a message directly through the class. You'll hear me call it the Moodle class. The Moodle is the name of the platform our class is built on. When you send me a message through the class, it's effectively like an email message. It's a private message, it just goes to me. And I do prefer this to regular email because it will keep track of our conversations. You can also post in the course discussion forum. This is a public space, so your fellow classmates will be able to see our conversation, but chances are, if you have a question, one of your classmates may have the same question, so it's an opportunity to share answers and have a discussion with your colleagues around the country. We can also always use the chat function. That's a space for you to talk to me, to talk to one another. Again, that is a public space and transcripts are saved. And as needed, we can always do phone calls or scheduled chats in advance as needed. This course should be an open learning community. Everyone should feel comfortable asking questions or getting advice on the challenges that you're experiencing. So to facilitate this, we need to be sure to respect everyone's confidentiality. So please do be careful if you discuss the course with anyone outside of the class, that you are doing it without any identifying information about your fellow VISTAs. Now, I know that you've all heard about the Hatch Act, and I just want to give you a quick reminder that you'll want to abide by the Hatch Act while participating in this class. So that means please refrain from discussing and engaging in any partisan politics in the course. So now that we've gotten a good overview, a little bit about the objectives of today's video. The first is to meet me, your facilitator. The second is to review the course overall and to talk a little bit of the content that you're going to cover in the class, and then very briefly to discuss upcoming assignments. So let's spend a little time going over the class. So here's a snapshot of the homepage for the class. So hopefully this is something you're already familiar with if you've spent any time on the Moodle site. There's a couple of things I want to point out as being especially important right in the middle of the page here. And the first is the Course Communication Center. You'll see a couple of key links here that you'll want to use. The first of these is News from your facilitator. This is what I use to send you updates, news, reminders. It's a bit of a one-way communication. But you'll get emails and alerts from me when I need to send a message out to the class. You'll also see two forums. One is called the Technical Questions and one is the Course Discussion. Both of those, I highly recommend that you click on them and then subscribe to them, and you'll find a link to that on the right side of the page when you click on it. Technical Questions is the place to ask for any help related to the technology of the class. If you can't open a link, if something's not cooperating, if you can't get into the site, well, obviously if you can't get into the site, send me an email, but if you have a problem with a technical issue, post it to the Technical Questions forum, and our team will get on that immediately. We'll take care of the problem. The Course Discussion is the place to start a conversation, ask questions, connect with your peers. Again, that's a public space to ask and answer questions. And then you'll also see the messaging link there. That's how you can send me direct messages. You can send direct messages to your colleagues. It's an internal email system, and it's pretty self-explanatory once you click on that link. You'll also see the link for the chat room. Again, that's open for student use, and transcripts are saved and accessible to anyone in the class. Now below that you'll see course resources, and there's a couple here that are really important. First is the syllabus for the class. Just like any other course that you might take, this course has a syllabus. So please do take a little time to stop and read through the information in there, and I'll cover a little bit of it in just a moment. But that's going to give you a full picture of this particular class. You'll also see the course activity checklist, and what that will give you information on is every assignment that's due for this class, when it is due, and how many points it is worth. And it literally has a check box next to each assignment so you can keep track of what's due when, and this is a really terrific tool. And then lastly, the student guide. Especially if you're new to Moodle, this is a terrific resource to learn how to upload your assignments, how to navigate the site. It's going to walk you through the various steps, so again, I recommend that you spend some time reading that. So thinking about the syllabus, it's going to walk you through the structure of the class. Effectively, there are modules where we focus on specific topic areas, and then within each module, we're going to have, each week there will be readings and assignments. Sometimes these are quizzes, sometimes these are worksheets, sometimes these are work products. They depend on the week. And were we able to scroll down on this screenshot, you would see upcoming weeks opening up before you so that you can see what's next. We do only open up so many weeks at a time, and that's on purpose to keep people moving at a pace that makes sense for the class. We don't want you to jump too far ahead on the content, especially if you haven't gotten feedback yet on old assignments, because many of the assignments build on the previous ones. This is a pass-fail class. To pass, you must earn a 70% or 140 points. There are 200 points total available. Again, the activity checklist will walk you through the activities and the points allotted to each assignment so you can keep track of that. Expectations for the class. We expect you to read the materials, complete assignments by the due dates, contact me with questions or issues, and you can expect me to read through your assignments, provide you with feedback, as well as to answer questions in a timely manner. A couple of rules and guidelines for the class. We do expect the work that you submit to be your own. Should be based on assignment readings and be original work that you've created just for this class. Again, course conduct, this needs to be a respectful environment where everyone can openly discuss issues and topics. So please be respectful of diverse opinions, and if you disagree with someone, do it in a respectful manner. Let's say that correctly. The other side of this, of course, again, is to keep information shared by classmates confidential, so please don't use identifiable information about a person, a program, or a project. Participation, not everyone who wanted to get into this class did. We often have a wait list. So if you find that it is not for you for some reason, you can still drop in the first 2 weeks and we can add someone else. So please do let us know for some reason you need to drop the class so that we can let someone on the wait list into the course. Assignments are due each week by 11 p.m. Sunday night. You'll see the deadlines on the course site as you scroll week by week, but again, they are always due by 11 p.m. Sunday. Now, late work. If you know that you need a little more time, please send me a message. I am always happy to extend deadlines as needed. I'm happy to make arrangements for a little extra time. I know you guys are busy, I know you have a lot going on, and I want you to get something from the course that's more important to me than you turning it in on time. If you turn it in late without letting me know in advance, there are late penalties. Specifically, 1 point is deducted per day that it is late. So again, please give me a heads up. It's well worth your time to let me know if something's going to be a little late because I can extend those deadlines. So now that we've looked at the course a little bit, let's take a look at some of the content. Specifically, we're going to look at some of the statistics and trends for volunteering in America. Now, as part of one of your first assignments for this class, you're going to go to the volunteeringinamerica.gov website and answer a few questions. This website's a really terrific resource that you can use to research volunteerism in your city and in your state. So we're going to go over some national statistics very briefly here. Specifically, in the last year, 62.8 million people in the United States volunteered, 7.9 billion hours, and when you apply the independent sector's estimate of an average value of a volunteer hour, this is a contribution to the economy of $184 billion, and this is pretty substantial. It's amazing to see what the impact looks like when people volunteer. The highest volunteer rate was among Generation X. The average volunteer hours was highest among older generations, and 1 in 5 millennials volunteered last year. If you wonder why the largest percentage is among Generation X, take a look at their ages there, 33 to 49, and keep in mind that these folks are likely parents. Parents are very active volunteers. They engage in their children's school activities and sports activities. So it's pretty common that whatever generation is in that parenting age, they're often the ones who volunteer the most. Now, why are we bringing up trends and statistics? The main idea is that the more you know about potential volunteers in your area, the more information you have that you can use in your efforts. For example, if you see that there's a large percentage of volunteers of a certain age, it may give you an idea of where to recruit them. If you have a number of students or people of young college age volunteering, then you might go to colleges. If you see that it's primarily older generations, you might go to senior centers or to retirement homes or other places where senior volunteers might be congregating. So keeping in mind learning about the population and where they are, and it's going to give you some information on how you might engage them. Now this next one gives you a snapshot of where or in what fields people volunteer. And nationally, most people volunteer, or the largest percentage of people volunteer with religious or faith organizations. And this is followed by educational organizations, social services, health, civic, sports and arts, and then of course there's another category. One of the things that we know about why so many people volunteer in religious organizations and education organizations is because these are organizations that often ask people to help. Places of worship often ask, and schools often try to involve parents who have a stake in their children and their children's educational success. Another reason is that people are motivated by things that are close to their lives, so the well-being of their children or their particular set of values or faith. This next screen gives you a little bit of an idea of activities. How do people volunteer? So you can see a lot of people volunteer through fundraisers. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that they are out raising funds so much as they might be participating in a fun run activity or a fundraising event. Collecting and distributing food is another very high percentage. General labor, tutoring and teaching, professional and management skills, office services. Again, this is just a snapshot of how people volunteer. And again, these are things you can keep in mind when you're structuring volunteer activities or deciding what activities might make the most sense. This can also help you start to identify some of the skill sets that volunteers might bring to your organization. So a couple other trends I wanted to point out. One is the link between volunteering and employment. Volunteers have higher odds of getting a job after being out of work than non-volunteers. And this number goes up even more for people who have a high school diploma or who live in rural areas. And this is important again when thinking about volunteer motivations. Why might someone be seeking to serve? Yes, they probably care about the issue because they could volunteer anywhere and they've chosen your organization. But they might also be seeking to gain skills, expand their network, get to know others, practice a new skill set. Keep these things in mind as you develop and engage volunteers. Develop roles rather and engage volunteers. Another is that volunteers are twice as likely to donate to charity as non-volunteers. And again, this may be useful if you're partnering with the resource development staff or volunteers at your organization. Think about how you might be able to collaborate to engage members of the community because there is such an overlap between volunteering and donating. And again, overall, volunteers have had a huge impact. 104.9 billion hours volunteered and $2.1 trillion contributed to the economy, and that's pretty substantial. So volunteers are a powerful force that we can engage in our local communities and that have a real impact on our country. So let's think a little bit about motivations. There are many different motivations for volunteering, and most of these are not mutually exclusive. Some are primarily about benefiting oneself and their own goals and motivations. Some are about a broader sense of altruism or a sense of civic responsibility. And the reason why this matters is that in order to reach those you want to volunteer for your organization, it's important to understand what might motivate them. If you can tap into their motivation, you can have a better chance of recruiting and keeping the right volunteers. And motivations and trends should always be at the back of your mind whenever you're working on things for your site related to volunteer activities. So here are some of the motivations on your screen: making a difference or giving back, a personal connection or passion for an issue or cause, Socializing, getting to know others. This is especially true for people who are new to a community or seeking to professionally network. Developing and practicing personal and professional skills, exploring a career path. Again, that's especially true for students. Staying active or getting outdoors, and having fun. Never forget that last one. Simply, some people just want to volunteer to do something fun. So you'll understand motivations, but you also need to know what volunteers need to be successful, because you want to design position descriptions and systems that are going to address not only what motivates them to volunteer, but also what they need to thrive. So some of the kinds of needs that you may see are a sense of ownership, wanting to belong to a team effort, wanting to move the bar forward. Trust and respect, being seen as trusted members of a valuable team, being respected for their ideas and their efforts. Responsibility, this is linked to trust. Volunteers are given responsibility to follow through and deliver on important objectives. Clear expectations. You don't want to soft sell something that might be difficult, and you don't want to bring people in under the guise of everything being easy if it's not actually going to be. So be truthful about what they're going to do and what you expect of them. It's okay if things are hard. People like a challenge. Just give them a clear sense of what they need to know before they go in. Making a difference, being part of a movement to create change, being sure to show them the results of their efforts, no matter how small the task and why it matters. And then lastly, making sure they know that they are valued and appreciated. Find out what strengths they have and use them strategically. Keep them in a space where they know that they are needed, where you appreciate them and you share feedback on their efforts. One resource that when I worked with idealist.org that I developed that I'm a fan of, admittedly biased fan, is a Volunteer's Bill of Rights and Responsibilities. And this is something you might incorporate into your program. You see the link on the bottom of your screen. And this is 5 rights of volunteers, which is the right to feel safe, the right to information about their role or their project, the right to feel valued, the right to negotiate their role if they're unhappy with it for some reason, and the right to leave. On the flip side, though, they have 5 responsibilities, including the responsibility to communicate needs, to follow through on obligations, to not promise what they can't deliver, to honor an organization's investment in them, and to take care of themselves. So you might check those out for a little more information on rights and responsibilities of a volunteer program. Now, understanding your volunteers' motivations and needs provides you with a foundation to build your volunteer program. And throughout this course, we're going to spend quite a bit of time examining these foundational issues so that your recruitment, screening, matching, training, all of these efforts are strategic and effective. In fact, we've designed the class to help you think through key issues and needs before you build these program elements. In the course, we're going to be doing both strategy and system activities, which will allow you to understand the how and the why to program design, enabling you to take the skills of this class back to your VISTA site and beyond to your post-VISTA endeavors. So for each module, you're going to take in information from the readings, test your knowledge, often with quizzes. You're going to use tools and worksheets and activities to help you think about things in the context of your organization or project to start the planning process that will help you complete a product at the end of each module. You're going to do these things at a strategy level, considering needs, motivations, mission statements, outcomes, but you're also going to do it at a systems level, developing a position description, a recruitment plan, a plan for your orientation and training. And you're going to develop these tools to carry out these pieces. One important note to think through, we will be working with one volunteer position throughout the course, from early assignments through the end. So do be thinking about a volunteer position in those early assignments that you might want to use as the example throughout. Now, having said that, you will be able to transfer the skills and strategies you develop through these assignments in relation to that one position to any other position as we go. So I hope this brief video has helped you clearly see how the course will proceed, the manner in which we're going to approach each module, the expectations of the course, as well as giving you a little bit of information about trends and motivations and needs of volunteers. As we move forward, please don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions. I want this class to be useful, informative, and interesting for you, so please let me know if there's any way I can make it an even more positive experience. Again, welcome to the class. Thrilled to have you join us, and I will see you on Moodle.